Welcome to the newest episode of the Taco Tuesday podcast. I'm Brandon.
And I'm Jake.
And you may be able to hear it in our voices, but we're both currently congested as fuck.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. That happens.
It's weird because when you're congested, you know, like, for the most part, if I'm sick or congested, I don't realize that I sound different until I hear myself later. And I'm like, oh, man, is that what I sound like?
Right. No, as soon as I woke up, I felt it in my chest and in my sinuses. I was just like, yeah, there's a brick in my system somewhere, and I have to start shooting it out of me.
It's the worst, man. I have really bad sinus issues, and I don't know. I've never had them before, but the last 2 years or so, I get 1 or 2 sinus infections a year, and they ruin they ruin my fucking life, dude. They just make me feel really, really sad, you know?
I would think if they happen that frequently, that a doctor would have you on something like that. I guess normal people would be on, like somebody that doesn't get those that many a year.
Well, maybe if I had health insurance, then we could talk about that. But actually, you know, I just started this new job. And
right, how are you liking that?
It's good, man. It's just weird. You know, I've done the same thing since I was a teenager. You know, I'm 34. I've been in the service industry since I was 16, and so I've done.
In service industry, you mean like being a server?
Yeah, well, serving and cooking and kind of mainly serving, but I've done other stuff. But you know, that stuff is like second nature to me. And now, so I got a job doing construction. And I know nothing about construction, you know. And obviously they're going to teach me, but I just feel a little out of my element, I guess, a little bit. But they give me health insurance, so that's pretty nice of them. Yep.
Well, you also find out that there are a lot of people in construction that don't know shit about construction either. So they know bits and pieces, but they know bits and pieces. I know nothing. I know like what a screwdriver is and a hammer. And I know how to use a tape measure. That's about the extent. Well, and what I've found is that in those kind of jobs, those guys would rather like be able to teach you from new. Rather you come in and think you know everything and be like, no, I got it from here.
Right.
And they're no, learn this.
I think you're right. It's just we've been kind of so slow that there's been nothing for them to teach me really. Gotcha. Like today I learned how to drive a forklift, which was cool.
Nice.
But yeah, I just like, you know, I've just kind of been doing like odd jobs because there's been nothing to do. Like Monday and Tuesday, I went and got the oil change on 2 of our trucks because there was nothing else for me to do. Today, before I took a lunch, I took one of the trucks and just went and gassed it up for no reason because there was nothing for me to do. And my boss was like, we can't pay you to sit around. I was like, no, I get that, but what do you want me to do?
Right.
I mean, it's just that slow. Like, I swept so much today for no fucking reason.
Shit's not dirty, man.
It's definitely not now.
Right. Now, our last episode, we got made up by the very, very talented Nikki Gillette.
We did.
And so we didn't have a chance to talk about the vacation you took the week before.
That's true, yeah. No.
How was that? You went to Tennessee, right?
I went to, I went to Nashville. And
which I'm jealous of, by the way.
Dude, it was so cool, man. I mean, I've wanted to kind of visit places in the South, you know, just because I've never been there. You know, it's a very different culture from what I'm used to, you know, being born and raised, growing up, living my whole life in the Midwest for the most part. I lived in Virginia for a few years in Oklahoma, but Oklahoma is this weird, like, hybrid of, like, the Midwest and the South, you know?
Right.
Like, a lot of the cooking is the South, but it's just really the Midwest. It's just kind of boring, and there's nothing there.
Now, when you lived that way, was that more for military, or...?
Right, so both Virginia and Oklahoma was when I was in the Navy.
Okay.
Just 2 different duty stations.
Gotcha.
Oklahoma. Anybody that's listening to this, if you're from Oklahoma, I'm sorry, but your state is awful. There's just nothing.
And we just lost all of our listeners in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Everybody
Virginia's
in the
great, though.
is like, fuck you guys.
Yeah. They'll be okay. No, Texas is great. Like, I've been to Texas. I love Texas. But, like, Texas, they don't consider themselves the South. They're Texas. That's what everybody from there tells me.
Texas is the whole of the country. Yeah.
And I always thought Oklahoma was the South, but they're, like, they say that they're not, and, like, people from, like, Tennessee or Alabama are like, Oklahoma's not.
Yeah.
The South. Whatever. Anyways, Tennessee was really cool. I went down on Broadway where all the, like, you know, all the famous country music stars got their start. I'm not a big country music fan, but it's a cool piece of, like, history, right?
I grew up on country, but I kind of fell out of it as I got older.
Yeah. I mean, you probably like this, though, because, it's just a neat, like, it's a neat place. A lot of up-and-comers, a lot of, you know, a lot of people that just play bars, and they're going to play bars. But still, they're doing something. And as a performer, you know, you can appreciate kind of all the hard work that goes into something like that.
Absolutely. It's nothing to scoff at. These people go out to the bars and
night after night.
Yeah, you know? Exactly. Sometimes they work a regular job during the day and then 5 nights a week at whichever bar.
Right.
So, I mean, they're kind of grinding and hustling as much as they can. Now, did you go down there for any particular reason or just like, I want to see it?
So I got a little bit of money a few months ago, and at the time, before I got the money, I was like, what, you know, like, I want to not waste it, you know? Yeah. And I thought about moving because, you know, I love doing comedy, and I think, like, obviously if I'm going to make it anywhere with comedy, it's not going to be in the Quad Cities as much as I really do like it here, and my family's here and stuff. I was like, I need to go somewhere better. And I thought about, like, New York or LA, obviously. But the rent, you know, just to live out there, it's too expensive. Yeah. So I thought, well, maybe Denver. Like, Denver has a good comedy scene. The Pacific Northwest has an up-and-coming comedy scene, but those are both really expensive, too. Right. And I thought, you know, Nashville is still close enough. Like, Nashville is kind of perfectly situated, like, 5 or 6 hours from a lot of major cities. You know, it's about 8 hours from New Orleans, but, you know, from, like, North Carolina and up to Kentucky, you just, like, you've got St. Louis is like 5 hours away, so you can kind of get anywhere within a day, right? To do comedy. And so I thought maybe I'll just check that out and see if it's something that I like. And so that was kind of the purpose. Obviously, well, maybe not obviously, but this was a few months ago. I was thinking about that, and then by the time I got down to Tennessee, I had already gotten this new job, and I kind of knew that I was probably not going to move down there, at least not right now. But I thought it'll be a cool vacation, a great way to, like, you know, transition from my old job to my new job. And so, yeah,
I think the only place I've been to in Tennessee was Chattanooga. Okay, and they have a nice little, I believe it was an aquarium and museum.
Oh, really?
But I remember the aquarium that we went to was huge. Like, it was the entire, or not the entire aquarium, but there was a giant tank in the middle that had, like, ramps that you would walk down, and you could see all the different levels of this giant aquarium. Nice. And there were so many different fish in there. It was crazy. But yeah, I'd love to go back down there and take the wife and kids.
Absolutely.
Maybe someday.
You know, it's so obviously when I was down there, I wanted to do comedy. I got to do an open mic that was actually ran by a guy that I was in the Turnbuckle Fest with, which was cool. I didn't know that. I have a comedian friend who lives down in Nashville, and she took me to that mic. And I walked.
So you didn't know the dude was going to be there?
You know, he wasn't there because he's a touring comedian. Gotcha. But it was his mic. I walked up to the bar and I saw his picture on the thing. I was like, "That's weird that they would just use some other comedian's picture." And they're like, "No, this is his mic. He's just not here tonight."
And you're like, "Oh shit, I know that."
I was like, "Yeah."
What was his name?
His name's Dusty Slay.
Okay, all right.
So he's from like Alabama, but he lives in Nashville with his wife.
Gotcha.
He's super funny dude, man.
Yeah.
I was kind of bummed that he wasn't there, but I killed, obviously, so that was cool. But what I was getting at is that, like, even even if you can't get down there to do anything cool, see a concert, just Tennessee, the state itself is beautiful, man.
The pictures you posted were awesome.
That was East Tennessee, so that was like I was right on the border of North Carolina.
Okay.
I didn't get to North Carolina, but that was a mountain, and I hiked it up. I hiked it up.
We hiked it up, bro.
I hiked up it one morning and got some cool pictures, man. I saw some bear. I fought a bear, actually.
Oh yeah?
No, that's not true.
What was his name?
I don't know. We didn't get into that.
Oh, so it was an actual bear, not like a bear of the gay community?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I was about to say.
Except also not true. I didn't fight a bear. I just wanted to sound cool.
You looked at him and you were like, nah.
I imagine if I had, I would have called him a baby face bitch, though.
Take that, bear. No. So let's see. You did Tennessee. Did you go somewhere else, or was it just Tennessee?
Well, so I went to Tennessee, and then I thought. I had my cousins. I have two cousins that live in Ohio, and they both had children like within 3 or 4 days of each other. Well, their wives did. They didn't. But
okay.
So
we've determined that your cousins are male.
They are male.
Okay.
And it was both of their second kids.
Okay.
And I went up there. So I went up from Tennessee. I just drove north up through Kentucky and up to Ohio. Mm-hmm. And to see them, except I didn't get to see either one because our schedules didn't work out.
Okay.
But it was a great drive, man. It was just fun to get out. The funniest thing I've ever seen in my life actually happened on my way to Ohio. Do you mind if I tell you and the listeners about it?
If you think it's funny, I'd like to hear.
Well, I don't want to say I'm an authority on what's funny.
Okay.
But I've been doing comedy for a few years, and I've opened for some pretty good open micers. So I feel like I have a little bit.
Okay.
So I'm in like northeast Tennessee, and I stop at this rest area. And when I get to the rest area, I see a group of Amish people in a van. That's not the funny part. Like, I've seen them before, not a big deal.
Okay.
But I go into the restroom, and as I'm going into the restroom, a young man is coming out of one of the stalls, and he's got the biggest smile on his face, right? So it's this young Amish man who has Down syndromes. He's got a bowl cut, and he's wearing a sheriff's badge on his overalls.
Okay.
Do you know how hard it is not to laugh at that right in front of that man's face?
Which part did it for you? Which part?
I think
was it the bowl cut?
Well,
because I wouldn't assume that you're laughing at the fact that the man has Down syndrome.
No, not at all.
Okay,
it's
just to clarify for anybody listening. You're like, they hate people with Down syndrome.
No. If you think that, please, I beg you to reconsider because it has nothing to do. It's so I think what really did it for me. There was two things that did it for me. One, that he came out of the stall smiling, because I just imagined that like this is his first time, right?
He's super proud of it,
and he's just like, hey Dad, where's the bucket? Because they're Amish, they don't have technology, and his dad's like, oh, check this out, and he's just fucking mesmerized by the fact that the water swirls down, right? Yeah. I just imagine he spent a lot of time in there just flushing the toilet over and over, and finally his dad's like, all right, we gotta go, come on buddy, and he's just. But that just made his whole day. The other thing is the Amish don't follow. They have their own very small knit communities. They don't interact with the rest of society. They grow their own food.
Right.
They farm. They make their own buildings.
Self-sufficient.
They're pretty much completely self-sufficient.
Yeah.
So the concept of a sheriff is not a natural one to them, right?
Right.
But this kid. Not a kid. He was a young man. This young man had a sheriff's badge on his coveralls, and I just thought,